We're constantly looking for ways to better support our clients and for better ways to support our team. And so I think that starts with making sure that we understand who we're working with and who we're working for. And one of the best ways to do that is to break people down into categories. For instance, like we work with people that are baby boomers all the way down to Gen Z because they're now entering the workforce. And so if we break this group down, there are distinct differences between each one. And so it makes it interesting when it comes to how to deal with these individuals, how to work with them, and how to support them in whatever their business is. And so to start with baby boomers, and just for reference, these are individuals that are born between the years of 1946 and 1964. Now, granted, many baby boomers are now out of the workforce, but for the line of work that I'm in, many of our clients are baby boomers and they're still trucking along and they're still doing some major things. And so these individuals have really strong work ethics. And now, one thing to understand about baby boomers is they really like in-person meetings. They like face-to-face communication. And so these are the individuals that aren't afraid to jump on a plane and travel a long distance just to have a meeting that they deem is very important. Something that a lot of younger people will probably say that you could have done that via Zoom or something. And so these are loyal individuals. You probably heard older people talk about how they worked at these companies for 30 and 40 years and they got their gold watch at the end of their tenure. So this is who we're talking about when we talk about baby boomers. And so they like things like professional recognition. They like the corner office, or they like the reserved parking spot. Even their titles do not refer to baby boomers by anything other than their professional titles. They really value that. And so when we are dealing with our baby boomers, we have to make sure that we're a little more buttoned up when we're dealing with them because they value that professionalism. But then we get to Gen X. Now, Gen X, these are individuals born between the years of 1965 to 1980. And I do understand that there is some overlap when it comes to that gap in between the years. But when it comes to Gen X, this is when people became a lot more independent. As a matter of fact, they were known as what we call latchkey kids because this was one of the first generations where kids would come home from school to an empty house because both parents were actually working. And so this translated over to when they became adults and started working. Many of them became a lot more independent. They could work in freedom. They didn't need constant supervision. And so this group also remembers the time before the internet. They knew what it was like to not have any kind of tech, maybe a video game or two, but they knew what it was like when the internet first hit the scene. And so these individuals also, they like fewer meetings and they like shorter responses because they got used to tech and so they can text and things of that nature. So there's some overlap, but there was a change when it came to Gen X. One interesting thing about Gen X, though, they're extremely valuable because they can speak really well to the older generation as well as the younger generation because they're accustomed to dealing with both. But then we move to the largest group that's in the workforce right now, which is the millennials. These are individuals that were born between the years of 1981 to 1996. And so these individuals, they require more flexibility, like continuous development, but they also like work that has meaning. So some studies are saying that they have low engagement at work because since they like work that has meaning, they don't really respond well when the company's mission doesn't align with who they are. Now, it's important to know that this group is also known as digital natives because many of the younger millennials, they don't really know what it was like to live in a world without technology. So they're very tech savvy, and they brought something different to the table. They started embracing things like mentoring, coaching, and they went back to wanting to be more in a team environment. Many of the younger ones, I'll say that. And so the millennials, they are the largest group, and so they're the ones that's running the show right now. But now we're coming to Gen Z. These are the new kids on the block. Gen Z is now starting to enter the workforce as Gen X and the baby boomers are leaving. And one interesting thing I found about Gen Z, especially when it comes to like training these individuals, you don't have to spend that much time on the technology piece or when you get ready to introduce a new software. Many of them are looking for different types of software to help do their jobs more efficiently or even better. Whereas if you're doing some type of training or you introduce some type of software to someone that's an older Gen X or even a baby boomer, you're going to spend a lot of time just teaching them how to actually use the software. You don't have that issue when it comes to Gen Z. But these individuals, they are extremely tech savvy. These are the true digital natives because they have absolutely no idea what the world was like before the internet. And so they do have different values. They have paid attention to many of the things that the older generations have talked about. They paid attention to things like economic collapse, paid attention to the student loan situations that many people are going through. So they're a lot more pragmatic. But also, they value their mental health a lot more. They're ones that they heard the term burnout so much they don't want to have to deal with that. So they value work-life balance even more, and they're going to set these boundaries. Those aren't things that they look at as luxury. They look at them as non-negotiables when it comes to Gen Z. And so, of course, they like quick communication. They even prefer things like visual aids like emojis and short videos when it comes to their training methods. So those are just some of the differences. And I think that it's really important that we understand the difference in who we're dealing with when we're providing a service for them, or even if we're training them and they're on our team. So let me know what I got wrong, what I got right. Do you think I hit the nail on the head? Where do you fall on this spectrum? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave me a comment below. And until next time, take care.